Writing doesn't always come easy. See how very many people are told, just get a hold of your pen and start writing. Girl, it's the hardest thing you ever do, and I am not scaring you away, but it all comes with creative discipline. As a person, I have experienced what we call a creative mood, where you are inspired into writing. But creative discipline, my dear, is what will get you there. Hi, my name is Jessica Nampijja, and this is Heart's Ministration, my YouTube channel, and I am so happy to always have you here. If you haven't subscribed, I'm kindly requesting you to go and subscribe, like, and leave a comment below. I love interaction, and this is how we grow together. And if you keep supporting me, I will keep making these good videos for you, and you will learn from them. Yes, now let's get into the hot topic: creative discipline or creative mood. I'll show you something that I wrote down. This storm that never ends. It is a fear that grips so hard like a wrestler's hold, but this time on your mind. A creative is born to a dysfunctional system that grips so hard she only can write about it. Just like that. A creative is made and rebirthed into a system that doesn't provide. Now, these are three different stanzas that actually don't really complement each other, but they send out the same message. But here I was trying to write a poem. Stay with me. When I wrote, "This storm that never ends," it is a fear that grips so hard like a wrestler's hold, but this time on your mind. Writing comes easy when you're doing it for the first time and you are overwhelmed with all this emotion. Now remember, the only thing that you want to do when you're so emotional, when you are overcome with all these many things in your mind and you don't know what to do with them, you just want to vent. There, writing comes in handy. You start writing, you put down your emotions on paper, you want to tell the reader how you feel. You talk to the book. Some people start with, "Dear Diary." Others, like me, would just go and say, "This fear that grips so hard like a wrestler's hold has me hostage and I don't know how to untangle myself." See how I did that? It came with creative discipline. Creative discipline is like a rite of passage for each and every writer. Every writer has to learn creative discipline if they are serious with this thing they're doing, whether to make it a career or use it as something for therapy. It comes in handy with staying on point all the time. Now I'll talk about creative mood. Creative mood is when you walk around the street or you're in the middle of a restaurant or you're eating out on a day and you're just like, this food is so good. You get a hold of your notebook, because most writers walk around with notebooks. And you just start writing how you feel in the moment, about everything around you. You describe your environment and how it makes you feel, the food you are eating and everything all around you. That is what we call a creative mood. And that does not mean you're not doing creative discipline. What I mean is that most writers have what we call a creative mood, and they only stay with this, they stick with this because it's easy to write when you're in a mood, but it's hard to write when you don't know how you feel. Now, I'll tell you, as a writer, I have struggled over the years to keep up a stable pace. What I mean here is, as a writer, it has always not come easy. It never comes easy because when you're writing, the first time you hold a pen and start writing, or get a hold of your laptop and say, I'm going to do this, I have to do this. You even make a calendar and start writing. Some people even set alarms and be like, in this time of day, I'll start writing. But my dear, it never comes easy. I'm not here to scare you away, but I am here to tell you about creative mood and creative depth. The two. Creative mood and creative discipline. Yes. So, in my first years of writing, I struggled. Now, you all know my story of how I started writing. I found this old book and I found the story that I wrote in my early years of secondary, and I loved it. God, I love the story. So I started writing that story again. Not necessarily copying the story that I had written, but I found something that I was passionate about at the moment. Love. I was in my early years of discovering the fanciness of love. So I wrote a story that I called Gerard. Yes, I wrote a story called Gerard about Conrad and Jessica. A love story about, it was staged in a modern place called Njala. Njala, I came up with a name, yeah. But I was so obsessed with this whole writing thing. I was so obsessed with it that I kept writing day by day by day by day. I kept writing. Every day I woke up, this story was on my mind, and all I thought about was, I have to add a chapter on this. Guys, I made research. I did a lot, man, for that story. I remember how obsessed I was with the whole thing, and I'm like, yeah, I was really in a creative mood. So things changed. Tables turned on me when I got feedback from my brother about the story I had written. I remember I was in a phase of discovering love and the fancies around it. So I kept writing and writing and writing. I just wanted to express myself. But these were not the only feelings I was feeling. I was conflicted. No, teenagehood comes with a lot. You feel like the world is against you. No one hears you. You want a voice and all. So this story gave me a voice. It gave me something that I really, really yearned for in that age, in that era. I really wanted to be heard, to be listened to. God, it's getting hot in here. But you see the whole thing, there was a creative mood. The surrounding emotions kept me in captivity to create, not exactly captivity, okay, captivity to create, to write, to express myself. That was a creative mood. Now, what I did after my brother gave me feedback was what we call creative discipline. Creative discipline. Now, let's get back to this poem. A creative is born to a dysfunctional system that grips so hard she can only write about it. Guys, I wrote this poem when I felt like everything was just blank of emotion. I felt like I was just walking around with nothing in my mind or my heart. But we all know, we both know that that is also a feeling. But in creativity, you feel like you were stuck as a writer. You feel like you have no creative energy in you. It's kind of what your mind tells you at the point. So what I did, I wrote down. I started with how do I feel? Look what I wrote. When I started writing this whole thing, I didn't know what to write exactly. I felt like I could not create at the moment. I felt like I was out of it. Like I had no creativity in me. I felt like writing was never my calling. Guys, I felt like I could not do it. But look what I wrote. How do I feel? I feel calm. For the first time in my life, I am not chasing goals, not the wealth, the need to prove something. I am just me. I have let myself be without holding the freedom of choice. I am running at my own pace, praying and being calm about the future tomorrow. And I never realized how sufficient I am until now. A time I have come to do what I love consistently, choosing me. I should have known this earlier, but there are no escapes to the lessons of life. Universal laws, God's laws, things I fought so hard to understand but never did. Now I know there is no need grasping it all. You just have to learn one lesson at a time. Let it all be. There is no control to the world you never created. So, how do I feel? I have no fear of tomorrow. And that is a gift I am grateful for. I realized when I wrote this that it is not about how you feel as a creative. It is about what you do with how you feel in a moment. Most writers talk about writer's block. It's a thing, guys. It's a thing. But in my own opinion, I feel and I have come to learn over the years that writer's block is like a fear. It's like a haze, something that blocks your mind. It's like a mood. It's a creative mood that you slant into the moment you feel like you cannot do it. You certainly do not have the energy to do it. You certainly do not have the skills, enough knowledge about the exact topic you want to write about. But over the years, I have come to learn myself, and I hope this is able to help other writers if they're watching this. I have been sitting since December. I was in that haze, that phase of writer's block. And when I overcame it the first time, I didn't know it would come back. I didn't think it would come back. But it's, let me give you a good comparison. I had this conversation with a friend a few days ago. Now, we were arguing about, okay, not exactly arguing, we were discussing, but he was arguing, about the fact that a woman would stay in a relationship where she is being abused time over time. And he was saying this woman has the energy to walk away. Like, if you are in an abusive relationship, right? Okay, he said they were not married and she could just walk away. And I was trying to explain to him how it feels when you are in a situation where you feel like you have no choice. As someone who has learned about GBV, gender-based violence and mental health over time, read about it, experienced it, witnessed stories over time, I was trying, I did it, I wanted him to understand that when you are a victim, you as a person at that moment, you feel, you know, you have no choices. You have no options. I told him that this girl might be in that relationship, not because she wants exactly, but some people are trauma bound. Some people are simply there because the person holding him has collateral. Others are there because they are seeking for something that they think that person is the only person who can give it to them. Like some people stay in relationships that are abusive simply because their partners have manipulated them and convinced them over the months they've stayed together, over the years, that no one will ever love them just the way they love them. And these are things that people don't want to hear simply because they've never been in that position. But over the years I've said, guys, never say never. These things happen to everyone. They do happen to everyone. But how you overcome a situation matters a lot. Some people need a push to get out of that situation. And commenting exactly on GBV victims and mental health victims, the only thing that will screw you out of that situation is if you read about GBV or mental health, like you consume content about it, or you talk about it. But I would tell you, revisiting a wound doesn't exactly heal it. In fact, whenever you look at the wound, you peel more layers to a point that you're creating a deeper wound than was there at the start. The more I talked about things that hurt me in a way that they made me feel like I needed to air it out. I needed to make everyone understand how I felt, how it feels. I realized that we do not exactly have to tell people our wounds, but how we heal from it matters. I told my friend that people who are victims feel like they do not have options. And actually, that's true. If you don't agree with me, please make research. You can go and talk to GBV victims and see how they respond to you. And guys, this is why organizations came up. This is why there are support groups for this kind of people exactly. I love listening to such people and giving them the better advice through my work, because I know how it feels. Yeah, I managed to win that argument. Just had to revisit that. Now, relating it to writer's block. Writer's block is like a haze. It feels more like a victim, someone who has been held entangled for a certain period of time. Now you should know that a creative is driven by emotion. Creative will hold me on that. All creatives are moved by emotions. You cannot write what you don't feel. It can never happen. You always write what you feel about something, a topic. And how you feel comes exactly from the knowledge that you consume, that you have about a topic. So, writer's block is like a haze. I keep repeating that word. It's like that wind that surrounds your mind, your head, and it keeps in one place rotating and rotating and rotating. It doesn't leave you. You're uncomfortable with it, but you don't know how to get out of it. I once posted in a group of writers that I am in. They were talking about writer's block, and I told them writer's block is something you can actually overcome. And they ignored my message. But, guys, I know how to overcome writer's block. Write how you feel. This is how you keep up with creative discipline. You cannot have creative discipline if you do not know how to overcome your emotions. So I wrote the first piece, how I feel. And one other thing, you do not have to be perfect, because perfection always holds back very many creatives. You should know that good work comes from fearless expression. Fearless expression. You just have to do it. You never know what might come out of it. We never know what to expect from anything. You just have to do it. So when I held my pen, I didn't know what I was going to write. I never thought about it. But I asked myself, how do I feel? I wrote how I felt. After writing how I felt, I wrote this poem. Now, you should know that I didn't intend to write this exact poem. When I wrote this poem, I thought I would write a killer spoken word piece, because I have a poetry show that is coming up. Yes, I'm going back to the stage. It feels overwhelming. The whole thing of cramming the poem in your head doesn't sit right with me. Those things of memorizing, I don't like that. But guys, creative discipline. So when I wrote this poem, I was thinking about how I feel, about this all creative energy in me, about this whole creative thing and how I started. So I wrote, this storm that never ends. It is a fear that grips so hard like a wrestler's hold, but this time on your mind. When I wrote this stanza, I was thinking about emotions and how they take a hold of us and how we cannot control them unless we face them. And I wrote the second stanza. A creative is born to a dysfunctional system that grips so hard she can only write about it. This stanza, a creative is born to a dysfunctional system that grips so hard she can only write about. It speaks for itself. And this is the best thing that I love about being a creative, about writing, about expressing myself, is that I'll create this thing that I never thought I would create, with all these metaphors, with all this creative energy. It just flows out when you let it. Guys, I think we all have a bad thought. Okay, when someone goes above 18 years of age, they have a mind of their own. They think what they think is true, and what someone thinks is true comes from what they exactly know. I remember I told you that what we know comes from what we hear, what we feel, and what we watch. So when someone goes above 18 years of age, they feel like they know it all. And it's true. Whatever you know is valid, because whichever way you perceive something makes it right. It makes it true. Yeah. So there are so many notions about creative discipline, that you have to make a calendar, that you have to write and continue writing, writing, like you have to force it. But when you force it, that's how you land into what we call writer's block. You could just unwind. You could just unwind and relax. Relax. Feel the heartbeat. Just let yourself be and keep writing. So, for you to become a successful creative, you have to learn how to use a creative mood and creative discipline. These two work hand in hand. But if you separate it, you'll become a writer who only writes what she feels. And the only time you will write is when you feel something. And even if you feel something, you feel like you do not feel anything. And that's where creative discipline comes in. A writer writes all the time. Keep writing. Use how you feel to your advantage. Even if you're writing a novel, you can use how you feel to write out a character at the moment. Use the spaces around you. Make these things work for you. Creative discipline and creative mood have to work together for you to overcome writer's block. I wrote these pieces. They're good. But when I was feeling out of it, I didn't feel like these pieces actually have juice in them. But that's it. A writer writes how they feel and people relate to it. But what you write and how you put it out matters a lot. That's it for today. I remain Jessica Nampijja, who loves you a lot and is giving you all this juice on creative writing, creative awakening. Yes, this is Heart's Ministrations. If you like this video and if you want more content about creative awakening, I want you to leave a comment below, like this video, and subscribe so that you keep in touch and get the juiciest content as it comes out. I am named Jessica Nampijja, and this is my cool pause. I love you. Bye.